we're going to look at see how we can use access visibility in real world scenarios. Let's say you're an admin. David, as one of your users, put a trouble ticket that he can access an application. And in our scenario here, the application is a time card. So we want to check the access group to make sure that David is allowed to have access or part of the group that has access to the time card. And then we're going to use the access visibility filters to display the access events for David. And we're going to see what's happening. Now, in our scenario, we're going to see David is attempting to access, and I have the name wrong here on the last paragraph or bullet points, but David is trying to attempt the time card using HTTP instead of HTTPS, and that's why it's being blocked. This is what we're going to find out during the demo. So let's go back to WPC. I'm going to switch my WPC to one that I have some of the events have already been created. So I'm going to go to my access visibility here. And as you can see, I got events created here based on the departments or user groups. Now, let's go ahead and look at David first and see what group he's a member of, and then see what access that group has and what that time card or app is. So we're going to go to our users. If I look at David, David is part of marketing team. Now, I'm going to look at my access groups under access to see what marketing team has access to. So if I look at marketing here, as you can see, they have access to time card secure and then shared. So I need to find out what's this time card secured is and what protocol is using. Now, the easiest way to do this, I can go back to my networks, to applications. This is where I have all my applications added to my WPC. And if I search for time card secure, I can see the address is this is an HTTPS. So we want to make sure that David is accessing the right information or right protocol. Now, one more piece of information I need here, I need to know what's the IP address for the server that David is trying to access. Now, in your network, you may have DNS servers that you can look into that's DNS servers, look at for the data or record. In my environment, I'm looking at the DNS record that was created on my Cloud Connect zone. And if I look at here, I can see my time card has the IP address of .1.68. So this is what I'm going to look in the access visibility. Now let's go back to access visibility. Again, if you remember, David was part of the marketing team. Now, I can look at the marketing here, and there might be a lot of information here, different tabs, different information. But as we talk about for the destination or source, we want to make sure that we choose the right, users and the right filters, basically. So on the source filter, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to choose David here to see what kind of events David has, have under his account. So I can see the application here, access an application here under RNONet, and it was allowed. But I want to know what it was blocked. So if I go to the network, now I can see that there was a blocked items here. So if I click on that, now two things I want to make sure. First of all, I want to make sure that I'm on a block tab here. And then if I scroll down, I can see that's the IP address of my time card server, and David was accessing HTTP instead of HTTPS. So it makes it a lot easier for me to see that what David was making or doing that was basically not allowing him to access the time card. So I can go back to him and say, hey, you need to use HTTPS to access the time card instead of using HTTP. So that's a real-time basically, or real scenario that can happen on a network if somebody doesn't have, access to an application and wondering why I can't access it. Now, going back to the slide, I'm going to look at another scenario here. Using access visibility to check access group. Now, you can check the access groups and firewalls that are being enforced through the access visibility. Again, another good way to make sure that people that they have access to certain resources, they can access it, and other people, they're not. Again, going back to my admin portal, let's look at different groups on their access visibility. If I clear the values here, last 24 hours, I can see, there are some blocked and allowed information here. For example, if I click on accounting, I can see the accounting team, they were access the accounting app, shared app, and time card on secure. So they were able to access that. Now, if I want to verify, make sure these guys, they have access to these informations or resources, I can just go back to my access groups and look at my accounting. So they do have access to accounting, they do have access to time card unsecure, and they do have access to the shared. So there's no problem here. So they are using the right resources. Now, if I go to networks, if something was blocked, I could see here, but I don't have anything blocked for them. So that's okay. Now, if I go back to the access visibility again, look at another team, as you can see here. Now, they have two different networks that they access, HQNet and RNONet. They access shared and time card secure, and this is my DB team. So again, if I want to make sure that they have access to the right resources, I can look at under the groups, look at the DB team, and they do have access to time card secure, and then on their RNONet, they have access to the share. So this is, we can make sure that people with the right access, that are accessing the right resources on the network and not vice versa. If something is allowed for a group that they're not supposed to have access, we can see it on their access visibility filters or logs here by going to the groups and see what was allowed or what was blocked. Now, one last thing that we're going to talk about here is using AV to discover apps. Basically, this is a way to discover if there is new destinations are being accessed, and the access rules have been created for that or not, or what's happening on our network. Again, it's like an event viewer that it shows what is happening or who has access to what on your network. And a good example of that I have here. For example, if I go to my marketing here, and if I click on the network, if I look at actually, maybe this is not a good one. Let's go back to another team that they do have allowed information here. So I'm going to go to networks, and you can see that we have 54 events that they were allowed. So if I go here on the network, and obviously I want to make sure I'm on there allowed, I can see these IP destinations that they have been reached. Now, when I look at the log, if I pull a line in the middle here next to the source region, towards the left, everything is a source information, and then towards the right, everything on the destination. So I can see that 168.1.68, it was accessed by 443. That's probably my applications, and I can see these IP addresses. Now, obviously, depending on your network, if you're a network admin, you know where these IP addresses are and why they're being accessed. For example, the SNMP here that you can see, I know that it's on my AWS. It has something to do with Elastic Logstash because we're using the Wazoo agent to monitor resources that we have on AWS. But if it was something that I'm not aware of, this would have been a good place to look, see what is being accessed and by who or by what group they're being accessed. For example, I can see Jordan, Emma, these people, they access resources on my AWS, and that's why it triggered this event. Now, if I want to see when this happened, this event happened, I just drop this down and I can see the date and the time that it was accessed. So this is how you can look at different events that happen on your WPC and who access your resources and what happened. Now, let's go back to the slides here. So to recap this very quickly, basically, access visibility offers a detailed visibility into all traffic that's coming to your WPC. An access event is produced whenever a new traffic flow is either permitted or blocked due to the access control measures, and then the traffic flow, as we talk about, is characterized as a unique association between the data traffic source and its destinations. You can determine which users, networks, and hosts are utilizing the internet through internet gateways. We didn't have the example here, but if you choose to have the split tunnel off for a user group, for example, let's say this is my user group, and if I click on this and I turn the split tunnel off and choose what internet gateway to use, or all internet gateway, now if anybody from this team access the network, it should show on their, like, let's say, for example, DB team, it should show on their internet gateway what internet gateway they use, either, in my case, HQNet or RNONet. So this way you can see if they're using the appropriate internet gateway, especially if you select, instead of in all internet gateway, if you select to send certain group towards one internet gateway and the other groups towards the other internet gateway. So again, you can make sure that everybody's getting routed through the right network or route, basically. So you can look at the internet gateways of tap on your events to see what internet gateway is being used.